At 3:47 inches the morning, my phone lit up on the nightstand. I reached for it, my heart already racing. No one calls at this hour unless something's wrong. The screen showed Daniel's name. My son. My only child. Mom. His voice was tight, strained, not the voice of someone calling with good news. I sat up in bed, pulling my robe tighter against the sudden chill. Daniel? What's wrong? Is it the baby? No. Everyone's fine. I need to talk to you about something. The silence stretched between us like a rubber band about to snap. Mom, it's about my birthday party this weekend. My birthday party. The one I'd been looking forward to for weeks. Daniel was turning 35 and Melissa had been planning this elaborate celebration at their apartment. The apartment I'd helped them buy. The apartment where I hadn't been invited to visit in over 3 months. Melissa thinks. He paused. She thinks it would be better if you didn't come. The words hung in the air. I heard them. I understood them. But they didn't make sense. She what? She says you're... Mom, she says you're too overbearing. That you make comments about how she decorates, how she dresses, how she parents Emma. She says you still treat me like I'm 12. I closed my eyes. In the darkness behind my eyelids, I saw Daniel at 12, gangly and earnest, bringing home straight A's and baseball trophies. I saw him at 22, graduating college with honors. I saw him at 28, nervous in his suit, asking me what I thought of Melissa before he proposed. I saw all the moments in between. The moments after his father died when Daniel was 16. The moments when it was just us against the world. The moments when I worked double shifts at Lincoln Elementary, teaching 3rd grade during the day and tutoring at night, so he could have everything. So he could go to the college he wanted. So he wouldn't start his adult life buried under debt. I see, I said. My voice sounded strange, calm, almost pleasant. Mom, I'm sorry. I know this is hard, but Melissa's been really stressed, and I think if we just give her some space, everything will... How much did I give you, Daniel? What? For your student loans. How much did I pay? The silence again. This time it felt different. Heavy. Mom, we don't need to. $95,000, I said. Over 6 years. Every tax return. Every bonus check. Every penny I got from selling your grandmother's jewelry. $95,000 to clear your debt from Cornell. I know, and I'm grateful. And the down payment for your apartment. How much was that? He didn't answer. $60,000. I took it from my retirement account, paid the early withdrawal penalty. $60,000 so you and Melissa could buy that place in Brooklyn. The place where I'm apparently no longer welcome. Mom, you're twisting this. I'm not twisting anything. I'm just remembering. I'm 63 years old, Daniel. I retired last year after 40 years of teaching. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment in Queens because I gave you the down payment for yours. I eat dinner alone most nights because you're too busy with your new life. And now I'm being uninvited to your birthday because your wife finds me embarrassing. She didn't say embarrassing. What word did she use? Another pause. Overbearing. Right, overbearing. I nodded to myself in the dark. Thank you for calling, Daniel. I appreciate your honesty. Mom, wait. Good night. I hung up, set the phone back on the nightstand, lay back down in bed, stared at the ceiling. I didn't cry. Not then. The tears would come later. Instead, I thought about choices, about sacrifices, about the difference between loving someone and being convenient for them. When morning came, I was already awake. I'd been awake for hours. I made coffee. I sat at my small kitchen table, the one I'd bought second-hand because the good dining set went to Daniel when he moved out. I watched the sun come up over the city. Then I picked up my phone and called Ruth Chen, the lawyer who'd handled my retirement paperwork. Robert, I said when he answered, I need to talk to you about a loan I made to my son, a significant loan, and I need to know my options for collecting it. The thing about being a teacher for 40 years is you learn to see patterns. You learn to recognize when a child is struggling, when they're lying, when they need help they're too proud to ask for. You learn to read the subtle signs, the small shifts in behavior that signal bigger problems. I'd been seeing those signs in Daniel for the past year. Ever since Emma was born, he'd stopped calling as often, stopped visiting. When we did talk, Melissa was always there, hovering in the background. Once I'd overheard her tell Daniel that I'd asked too many questions about the baby. "She's so intrusive," Melissa had whispered, not knowing I could hear. Intrusive, because I'd asked if Emma was sleeping through the night. Overbearing, because I'd mentioned that the apartment seemed cold and maybe they should check the heating. Embarrassing, because at Thanksgiving I'd told a story about Daniel's childhood that made everyone laugh, including Daniel, until Melissa shot him a look. I'd felt it happening, the slow erosion of my place in his life. But I'd told myself it was normal, natural. He was a husband now, a father. Of course his priorities had shifted. But this, being uninvited to his birthday, in the apartment I'd helped them buy, this was different. Robert called me back that afternoon. "Ruth, I've reviewed the situation. The money you gave Daniel for his student loans and the down payment. Did you have any written agreement?" "No. He's my son. I didn't think I needed one. Legally, that makes it complicated. A gift can't be reclaimed. But if you can establish that it was a loan, even a verbal one, you may have recourse." "It was a loan," I said firmly. I told him at the time that when I needed it back, we'd figure it out. That was true. I had said that. Daniel had laughed it off. Said, "Mom, I'll take care of you when you're old." We'd hugged. It had felt like understanding, not obligation. "Do you have any documentation? Texts? Emails?" I thought about it. Then I remembered. Yes. After each payment, I'd send him a text with the amount. I kept them. I kept everything. That helps. That helps a lot. Ruth, if you want to pursue this, you need to be prepared for it to get difficult. Family cases always are. I understand. Are you sure about this? I looked around my apartment. The worn furniture. The blank walls where I'd taken down family photos because they hurt too much to look at. The small TV I'd bought on sale. The life I'd built in miniature so Daniel could have more. "Yes," I said. "I'm sure." The letter arrived at Daniel's apartment on Tuesday. A formal demand for repayment of $155,000 with documentation of every payment I'd made, every wire transfer, every check, every text message confirming the amount. The letter stated that I expected full repayment within 90 days, with interest calculated from the date of each original payment. Daniel called me 17 times that day. I didn't answer. Melissa called too. I didn't answer her either. Finally, that evening, they showed up at my door. Daniel looked terrible. His hair was uncombed. His eyes were red. Melissa stood behind him, her arms crossed, her expression hard. "Mom, what is this?" Daniel held up the letter. His hand was shaking. "It's exactly what it says. A request for repayment." "Repayment? You gave me that money. You said it was a gift." "No, Daniel. I said I was helping you. I said we'd figure it out later." "Well, it's later. You can't be serious." This was Melissa, pushing past Daniel into my apartment. "You can't just demand money back years after the fact. I have documentation that suggests otherwise. My lawyer says I have a strong case." "Your lawyer?" Daniel's voice cracked. "Mom, I'm your son. I know who you are. Do you know who I am? What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm not just your mother. I'm not just the person who's supposed to give and ask for nothing back. I'm a person, Daniel. A person who worked herself to exhaustion for you. A person who sacrificed her own security for yours. And apparently, I'm also a person who's too embarrassing to invite to your birthday party." Melissa's face flushed. "That's not, I never said embarrassing." "No, you said overbearing. My mistake. Let me be very clear about what I'm being now. I'm being done." "Done?" Daniel looked like I'd slapped him. "Yes, done. You're 35 years old. You have a good job. You have a wife, a daughter, a beautiful apartment. You have everything. Everything I gave you. And you've made it very clear that you don't have room in that life for me." "That's not true. Then why am I uninvited to your birthday?" The silence was deafening. "I thought so," I said quietly. "The letter stands. $155,000. 90 days. Now please leave." "Mom." "Leave." They left. Daniel looked back 3 times as they walked down the hallway. Each time, I wanted to call him back. To say I didn't mean it. To fold him in my arms like I had when he was little and scared. But I didn't. I closed the door and stood there, listening to their footsteps fade. Then I went to my bedroom, lay down, and finally let myself cry. The next few weeks were hell. Daniel tried everything. He called, he texted, he sent emails, long, rambling messages about how much he loved me, how sorry he was, how this was all a misunderstanding. But he didn't say he'd invite me to the party. He didn't say Melissa was wrong. He didn't say I wasn't overbearing. He said he'd find a way to pay me back. He said he'd get a second mortgage. He said he'd work it out. He said everything except the one thing I needed to hear, that I mattered, that my feelings mattered, that I deserved respect. The party happened without me. I saw the photos on Facebook before I blocked his account. Daniel smiling. Melissa, radiant in a designer dress. Friends I recognized. Family I'd introduced him to. A beautiful cake. Balloons. Celebration. Everything I should have been part of. Everything I'd paid for. Robert called me a week later. Ruth, they've responded through their lawyer. They're arguing the gift defense. This is going to court. Fine. Ruth, I have to ask. Is this really what you want? Taking your son to court? I thought about that. Really thought about it. I don't want to take him to court, I said slowly. What I want is for him to see me. Really see me. Not as an ATM. Not as free childcare. Not as someone who exists to make his life easier. As his mother. As a person who gave up everything for him and deserves basic respect in return. And if the court case doesn't achieve that, then at least I'll get my retirement fund back. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for October. By September, Daniel had stopped trying to contact me. I told myself that was fine. That was what I wanted. Space, boundaries, consequences. But at night, alone in my apartment, I missed him so much it physically hurt. I missed Emma, my granddaughter, who I'd held when she was 2 hours old, who I'd rocked to sleep 100 times, who I'd sung to and read to and loved with every fibre of my being. I missed the version of Daniel who used to call me every Sunday, who used to say "love you, Mom" at the end of every conversation, who used to hug me like he meant it. But that Daniel was gone. Or maybe he'd never really existed. Maybe I'd just been useful and now I wasn't anymore. The breakthrough came in late September. I was grading papers. I'd started tutoring again, just to keep busy when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Ruth? It's Margaret, Daniel's godmother. I'd known Margaret since Daniel was born. She was my oldest friend, my teaching colleague for 20 years before she retired to Florida. Margaret, how are you? Honestly, I'm furious. I just found out what's happening. What Melissa did. What Daniel allowed. He told you? No. I called to wish him happy birthday last month. He sounded miserable. Eventually, the whole story came out. I see. Ruth, I need to say something and I need you to hear it. You're not wrong. Those 3 words broke something in me. I started crying, actually sobbing. I'm sorry, I managed. Everyone acts like I'm being cruel, like I'm punishing him for no reason. You're not punishing him. You're teaching him. There's a difference. Margaret's voice was firm. I've been watching this happen for a year. The way Melissa controls everything. The way Daniel just goes along with it. The way they've been slowly cutting you out. It's not right, Ruth. And someone needed to make them see that. But taking him to court is exactly what needed to happen. Sometimes our children need to face real consequences to understand real love. Daniel never had to struggle. You made sure of that. You gave him everything. And in doing so, you may have taught him that sacrifices are free, that love has no cost, that parents are disposable. I just wanted him to have an easier life than I did. I know, but easy isn't always best. Daniel needs to learn that relationships require effort, that respect goes both ways, that his mother isn't a bank account he can close when it's empty. We talked for an hour. When we hung up, I felt lighter. Not happy, but less alone. The week before the hearing, I got a text from an unknown number. Mrs. Chen, this is Melissa. Can we talk? In person? I almost deleted it, but curiosity got the better of me. When and where? We met at a coffee shop in Manhattan. Neutral ground. Melissa arrived exactly on time, pushing Emma in a stroller. Emma was bigger now, 10 months old. She had Daniel's eyes. Thank you for meeting me, Melissa said, sitting down. She looked exhausted, thinner than I remembered. What do you want, Melissa? She took a breath. I want to apologize. I waited. I've been thinking a lot about what happened, about what I said, about, she paused, looking down at Emma, about what I've been doing, which is keeping you away from Daniel, from Emma, from our family. Her eyes filled with tears. My mother died when I was 15, cancer, and I think part of me resented how close you and Daniel were, how much he relied on you, how much he loved you. I hadn't expected that, Melissa. Let me finish, please. She wiped her eyes. I told myself I was just setting boundaries, that you were overstepping. But the truth is, I was jealous. Jealous that he had this relationship with you that I could never have with my mom. And instead of dealing with that, I just pushed you away. Emma started fussing. Melissa picked her up, holding her close. And then the lawsuit, she continued. When we got that letter, I was so angry. I told Daniel you were vindictive, that you were trying to ruin us. But then I actually read it, really read it, and I saw all those payments, month after month, year after year. And I realized you gave us everything, and I gave you nothing but rejection. You didn't need to give me anything, I said softly. You just needed to let me be part of your life. I know that now. I know that now that we're struggling to figure out how to pay you back. Daniel's been working overtime. We're looking at selling the apartment. We might have to move to Jersey. She laughed bitterly. The apartment you helped us buy. The one I made you unwelcome in. Melissa. Emma asks for you, she said suddenly. Well, not asks. She's too young. But when we look at photos, when we FaceTime with Daniel's cousin in California, she reaches for the screen when your picture comes up, like she remembers, like she knows. I felt my eyes burning. I took her from you, Melissa whispered. I took your granddaughter from you because of my own issues, and I'm so sorry. We sat there in that coffee shop, two women who'd been at war, with a baby between us who didn't understand any of it, and I made a choice. I don't want your apartment, I said. I don't want to financially ruin you. That's not what this was about. Then what is it about? Respect. Recognition. The acknowledgement that I'm not just a resource to be used up and discarded. I'm Daniel's mother. I'm Emma's grandmother. And I deserve to be treated with dignity. Melissa nodded, tears streaming down her face. You do. You absolutely do. Can I hold her? I asked, gesturing to Emma. Melissa didn't hesitate. She handed Emma over. The baby looked at me with wide, curious eyes. Then she smiled. That perfect, gummy baby smile that lights up the world. Hi, sweetheart, I whispered. I've missed you so much. Emma reached up and grabbed my glasses. A very Emma thing to do. My heart cracked open and filled at the same time. What can we do? Melissa asked. To make this right, to make you whole? I thought about it, really thought about it. I don't want the money back, I said finally. Not all of it. But I do want something in writing. An agreement that acknowledges what I contributed. Not as a gift, as an investment in your family. In my family. Okay. Yes. Whatever you need. And I want to be part of Emma's life. Really part of it. Not just birthday parties and holidays. Regular visits. FaceTime calls. The little moments. Yes. God, yes. Ruth, I promise. And therapy, I added. For all of us. You, me, Daniel. We need to learn how to communicate better. How to set healthy boundaries without shutting each other out. Melissa wiped her eyes and nodded. We can do that. And Daniel needs to hear this from you. All of it. He needs to understand what happened and why. He needs to own his part in it. He will. I'll make sure he does. I looked down at Emma, who was now trying to eat my necklace. She's beautiful, Melissa. You're doing a wonderful job with her. Thank you, Melissa said quietly. That means more than you know. We sat there for another hour, talking, really talking, about her mother, about my loneliness, about the ways we'd hurt each other and the ways we could heal. When I left that coffee shop, I felt something I hadn't felt in months, hope. Daniel came to see me the next day, alone. He knocked on my door, and when I opened it, he just stood there, looking at me. Mom, he said. I'm so sorry. Come in, Daniel. We sat in my tiny living room. He looked around, really looked, like he was seeing it for the first time. When did you get this couch? He asked. 3 years ago. You helped me carry it up the stairs. Right. I remember now. He shook his head. I've been here so many times, but I never really saw it. How small it is. How worn everything is. I've been comfortable enough. You shouldn't have to be just comfortable. Not after everything you gave me. Daniel. No, Mom, please. I need to say this. He took a breath. I've been a terrible son. Not just about the party. About everything. I took you for granted. I let Melissa push you away because it was easier than standing up to her. I treated your sacrifices like they were just expected. Like that's what mothers do. It is what mothers do, I said softly. But that doesn't mean it should be taken for granted. I know that now. I know that now that I'm facing the possibility of losing you. His voice broke. Mom, I can't lose you. I can't let Emma grow up without knowing her grandmother, without knowing what you did for us, who you are. You're not going to lose me, Daniel. Even after the lawsuit? Even after everything? The lawsuit was never about punishment. It was about getting your attention, about making you see me. I see you, he whispered. I see you now. We cried together. Father and son. Me and my baby who wasn't a baby anymore but would always be my child. I talked to Melissa, I said when we'd both calmed down. We had a good conversation. She told me. She told me everything. He wiped his eyes. I knew she had issues with her mom, but I didn't realize how much it was affecting her relationship with you. That's not an excuse. I should have seen it. I should have protected you. You're protecting me now. Am I? By letting you drop the lawsuit? I'm not dropping it entirely. We're going to restructure it. Make it an agreement instead of a demand. Something that acknowledges what I contributed while allowing you to keep your home. Mom, no. If you need that money, what I need is my family. What I need is to be included. What I need is respect. The money. I waved my hand. The money was never the point. Then what was? You. Seeing me. Valuing me. Not as what I could give you, but as who I am. Daniel nodded slowly. I value you, Mom. I love you. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you know that. I believe you, I said. And I did. We modified the agreement. Instead of demanding full repayment, I forgave 70% of what I'd given. The remaining 30%, about 45,000, was restructured as a formal loan with minimal interest, to be paid back over 15 years. Manageable. Fair. More importantly, we drafted a family agreement, signed by all three of us. It outlined expectations, boundaries, commitments, monthly dinners, weekly phone calls, equal time with both grandmothers. Melissa's mother might be gone, but her father's mother was still alive, and I made sure she was included too. We started therapy in November. It was hard, painful. There were sessions where all three of us cried, sessions where we argued, sessions where we had to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves and each other. But slowly, carefully, we rebuilt. Thanksgiving that year was at my apartment. It was crowded and chaotic and absolutely perfect. Daniel carved the turkey. Melissa made pie. Emma sat in her high chair, smashing sweet potatoes into her hair while we all laughed. At one point, Melissa pulled me aside. Thank you, she said, for giving us another chance. Thank you, I replied, for being willing to change. Can I ask you something? She hesitated. Why did you really do it? The lawsuit. Was it really just about being seen? I thought about that, about those lonely months, about the 3:47 a.m. phone call, about standing up in my small apartment surrounded by everything I'd given away. Yes, I said, but not just by you, by myself too. What do you mean? I spent so long being Daniel's mother that I forgot to be Ruth. I forgot that I'm allowed to have needs, to have boundaries, to demand respect. The lawsuit wasn't just about making you see me. It was about making myself see me. Melissa hugged me then. A real hug. The kind that means something. I see you, Ruth, she whispered. I see you. And that was worth more than any amount of money. Christmas that year, Daniel's birthday, came around again. This time, the invitation came personally. Daniel brought it to me himself, along with Emma, who was now walking and babbling in that adorable, almost language that 1-year-olds speak. "Mom," he said, "we'd like you to come to my birthday party. Please, it wouldn't be the same without you." I looked at the invitation, then at Daniel, then at Emma, who was tugging on my pants leg, wanting to be picked up. "I wouldn't miss it," I said. The party was beautiful. Not because of the decorations or the food or the guests, though all of those were lovely. It was beautiful because I was there, because I belonged there, because when Daniel gave his toast, he thanked me. Publicly, specifically. "To my mom," he said, raising his glass, "who gave me everything, including the hardest lesson I've ever had to learn, that love without respect isn't really love at all. Mom, I'm sorry it took me so long to understand. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for fighting for our relationship. Thank you for being brave enough to demand what you deserved." Everyone drank. I cried, of course. Happy tears this time. Later, when the party was winding down, I found myself on the balcony with Melissa. We stood there in comfortable silence, watching the city lights. "You know what the hardest part of all this was?" she said. "What?" "Admitting that I was wrong, that I'd hurt you, that I'd let my own pain turn me into someone I didn't want to be." She looked at me. "But I'm glad I did. I'm glad you pushed back. Because now I have something I didn't have before." "What's that?" "A mother. Not mine, obviously, but a mother figure. Someone who's been through it all and came out the other side. Someone who can teach me how to be strong and vulnerable at the same time." I reached over and took her hand. "I'd be honored to be that for you." We stood there. Two women who'd been enemies, now something like friends. Or maybe family. Maybe that's what family really is, people who hurt each other and forgive each other and choose each other anyway. Inside, I could hear Daniel laughing at something someone said. I could hear Emma's delighted shriek as someone tossed her gently in the air. I could hear the sounds of celebration, of life, of the family I'd fought for, and almost lost, and somehow managed to save. At 63, I'd learned something I should have known all along, that sometimes the greatest act of love is teaching someone how to love you back. That respect isn't something you should have to demand, but sometimes you do. That boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges. And I'd learned that it's never too late to stand up for yourself, to say I matter, to demand that the people you love treat you like you matter too. The next morning, I woke up to a text from Daniel, a photo of Emma, holding a piece of paper with my face drawn on it in crayon. The message read, "She drew you, Mom. Her first real picture. She wanted you to have it." I looked at that crooked, beautiful drawing, that evidence of love and memory and connection, and I thought, this was worth fighting for. I have that drawing on my refrigerator now. Next to it is a photo from the party, me, Daniel, Melissa, and Emma, all of us smiling. A family, imperfect, healing but whole. Sometimes my students, the kids I tutor, ask me about the photo. They ask if that's my family. "Yes," I tell them. "That's my family." And then I tell them the story. Not all of it. The appropriate parts. The lesson parts. I tell them that family isn't always easy. That sometimes you have to fight for it. That love isn't just about sacrifice, it's about respect and boundaries and the courage to stand up even when it's hard. I tell them that being strong doesn't mean never breaking. It means breaking and then putting yourself back together with all the pieces showing. The cracks are part of the story, and I tell them that it's never too late to change, to grow, to rebuild, to choose each other again. The kids don't always understand, they're too young, but maybe someday they will. Maybe someday, when they're facing their own hard choices, they'll remember the old tutor who told them about the time she almost lost everything and chose to fight instead. Maybe they'll be braver because of it. I hope so. That's what I tell myself on the hard days anyway. The days when I remember that 3:47 a.m. phone call and feel the ghost of that pain. The days when I wonder if I did the right thing. On those days, I look at Emma's drawing. I read Daniel's texts. I remember Melissa's hug. And I know I did the right thing. Not the easy thing, not the comfortable thing, but the right thing. And that has made all the difference.